The owner of this handsome manor house lived by the motto, let nothing perish. So behind this impressive facade lies a rather unusual collection. But where am I and whose hoard is it? Find out in just a few moments.
Today's buyers are looking for their very first home in the country.
This is the dream, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
But they need somewhere for Dad to join them too.
He would love this.
Yeah, he would.
It's getting better and better.
Welcome to Escape to the Country. Today we're in Gloucestershire and this is Snow's Hill Manor, once owned by an eccentric collector called Charles Wade. Now, over a period of 60 years, Wade amassed a huge collection of more than 22,000 skillfully crafted objects from around the world. But Wade's objects are only part of the story, as it was Queen Mary herself who described him as the most remarkable part of the collection. Now, later in the programme, I'll be venturing inside to find out more about his passion and what made this incredible man tick.
Gloucestershire lies in the southwest of England and is surrounded by 7 counties, including Herefordshire, Oxfordshire and Wiltshire. Through the heart of the county run the world-famous Cotswolds, the largest area of outstanding natural beauty in England and Wales. Within the rolling hills, or wolds, are historic honey-coloured villages built from locally quarried stone, for many the epitome of English rural life. One such picturesque idyll is Bourton-on-the-Water, known as the Venice of the Cotswolds, due to a series of low-slung bridges that straddle the River Windrush. To the west of the county flows the River Severn, majestically meandering through a vale of orchards and meadows. In the centre of the county, Cheltenham is the most complete Regency town in England. Designed in the 18th and 19th centuries as a health resort for wealthy visitors, it features many grand houses with intricate ironwork balconies and painted stucco facades.
With all that on offer, it'll probably come as no surprise that homes in Gloucestershire are rather expensive. In fact, the average price for a detached house here is almost £30,000 more than the national figure, coming in at just over £308,000. And if you want to live in one of the Cotswolds' idyllic honey-stoned villages, you can expect to pay up to twice as much as a similar property elsewhere in the county. But what is it about this beautiful part of the world that so appeals to today's buyers? Well, let's meet them and find out.
Claire and Simon both grew up in Sheffield, but it wasn't until they moved away to study in Nottingham that they met and fell in love.
We met 17 years ago. We both come from the same city, but met in a different city at university, so that's ironic.
For the last decade, they've lived in the town of Kidderminster in Worcestershire, where Claire runs a training consultancy from home, while Simon faces a 2-hour round-trip commute to his job at a Cheltenham law firm. It's a setup they're finding increasingly hectic.
I think Kidderminster as a town has changed quite a bit in the last 10 years. There's a lot more development, there's new houses being built. We have seen a real increase in the amount of traffic and the amount of business in the town.
The house that we live in right now is on a very busy road.
Claire and Simon share a love of outdoor activities, from walking their dogs to running and cycling. But with a lack of available time and nearby space to enjoy these, they've decided it's time for a change of scene to more rural surroundings.
A council house is basically where I grew up, so a move to the countryside is something when I was younger that I'd always aspired to. It's taken me a good couple of years to convince Simon that it actually would give us a better lifestyle and that it was the right thing to do. But it's never seemed to be the right time, and now everything just seems to be falling into place, and I'm very much looking forward to our new life.
Their hearts are set on Gloucestershire, which, as well as giving them the countryside setting they crave, will reduce Simon's journey time to work.
I currently travel probably 80 miles round trip per day, so a move to Gloucestershire would help me with my commute to Cheltenham.
What I'm looking forward to with the move out to Gloucestershire is the open space, being in a rural area, those opportunities that you don't have when you live in a suburb.
Claire's father, Albert, currently lives a couple of streets away and is also set to join them in their escape, so the new home will have to suit all three of them.
Dad's now 87 years old, so he still needs his own independence. However, I would like to have him with us, just so that we know if there is anything that happens, then we're there straight away for him.
And there's a menagerie of cats, hens and dogs to be considered too.
It's difficult with the dogs because we have to take them on busy streets before we get to an area where they can run freely. And what we're looking for is where maybe we have that on our doorstep and we can let them run in the garden, but also within a short distance where into open countryside.
Primarily, they're seeking a sense of community and a deeper connection to the place where they live.
I think we're both looking for a little village where we can get to know individuals, feel a bit of a part of a community. I feel that currently where we are, we're a small cog in a very big wheel.
I imagine village life to be very different. Knowing everybody down a village street that you walk down, and I've never had that ever before in my life, so that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Simon and Claire have asked us to concentrate our house search within a half-hour's drive of Simon's work in Cheltenham. I'm meeting up with them in the Gloucestershire countryside to find out more about the home they're after.
Well, welcome to Gloucestershire, Claire and Simon. What is it that so appeals?
I think there's a lot of nice areas, a lot of nice towns and villages. It's known for its green spaces, its open land, its farming.
So what does the dream property comprise of?
It will need an annex, basically. We do want my father to come with us.
His name's Albert, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He's always wanted to live in the countryside, so he's very much looking forward to it. Yeah.
What about the house itself?
We want a big kitchen, maybe a kitchen living area. I think we're looking at 4 bedrooms, possibly 3 bedrooms if it has a separate study. And we are looking for a good sizable plot of land for the dogs and the chickens to run around.
Anything else that we want?
Well, I think Claire also would like a separate entrance or a utility room that we could convert into a boot room for the dogs.
Yeah. So how much work are you prepared to do with this move?
I think finding the perfect annex on the perfect house within our budget is possibly going to be a tall order, so I'm absolutely prepared to do some work.
Let's talk about your budget then for this move.
Well, we've got up to £550,000 to spend.
The thing that's really going to throw it is looking for the perfect annex with this land. So, realistic about that?
Yes, I think so.
We do have some splendid properties to show you. So, sun is shining. We're blessed so far. Should we get started?
Certainly.
Fantastic, thank you.
Simon and Claire have £550,000 to play with. They need an annex for Dad Albert and would like a decent plot of land with countryside on their doorstep. The home must have 4 bedrooms, a good-sized open-plan kitchen with space to entertain, and they are happy to consider somewhere that needs some work. We've picked out 3 different properties to show them, but we won't be revealing the price until the end of each house tour. The final offering is a mystery house that aims to challenge them to consider their options from a whole new angle. To start our search, we're heading to the west of Gloucestershire and the village of Longhope. Situated 11 miles from Gloucester in the Forest of Dean, it's about a 35-minute drive from Cheltenham. Lying along an enclosed valley, there's a real sense of village life here, with a choice of pubs, post office and stores, bakehouse, church and chapel. Our first property is located in a cul-de-sac off a country road outside the village.
Well, let me introduce you to your first house here in Gloucestershire, or should I say, barn.
Wow, it's quite impressive.
Isn't it? With the rolling hills on the one side as well. That was really nice.
Yeah, wow.
From the outside.
Good. Well, let's try and escape a little bit of this rain that's started to come down.
Yeah.
Start the tour.
This 5-bedroom detached home was converted from a barn a couple of decades ago and combines modern comforts with some rustic charm retained from the original structure.
I like starting off a tour with the kitchen when it looks a little bit like this.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
This is great.
Very nice. First things you see, the beams.
I like the work surfaces and the range.
Yeah?
Nice space for a cooker.
I like the idea that there's still being the stone there and still keeping the character.
And you've got your dining area right next door.
This is great.
So open
This
plan.
is really
This
nice.
is just what we wanted.
You look through, there's a doorway just there on the left.
Yeah.
That goes into a utility stroke boot room
Okay.
with access outside. So perfect for the dogs.
Adjacent to the kitchen is an additional formal dining room with exposed stone walls and a table seating 14.
So through the glass doors into our sitting room. Big space,
Yes.
light, bright, open.
This is a good size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really light
It
and
is very
airy
light.
and log burner.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Obligatory when you move to the country.
The floorboards are lovely as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Had you ever considered living in a barn, Simon?
Not seriously.
No?
No, but I am now.
This section of the ground floor also features an ensuite bedroom, plus there's an additional wing leading off from here, containing 2 further bedrooms and a bathroom with a walk-in shower. By converting one of the bedrooms to a kitchenette with seating area, this entire wing of the home could readily be adapted to provide an independent annex for Claire's father.
We're very aware that he's got to feel like he's got a home here as well.
He would love this.
Yeah, he would.
It's getting better and better.
There's quite a lot of space in this house.
There
There is.
Not quite so much space upstairs, though. Let's have a look.
Upstairs there are 2 further bedrooms, including a good-sized master ensuite.
So upstairs is a little different from downstairs. As you can see, we're sort of up in the eaves of the
Yes,
barn.
absolutely. Yeah, it's really nice.
Plenty of character.
Yes, very spacious. I like everything I've seen so far.
Good. So let's step outside. We can talk about the garden, the layout, where we are.
Okay.
Simon, if you wouldn't mind leading the way, please. Thank you.
Outside, there's a courtyard garden that leads from patio doors off the sitting room, plus a yard that offers parking space for around 6 cars. But the grassed areas here are limited, so I wonder if they can be persuaded there's enough space to meet the needs of their dogs, hens, and dreams of rural living.
The garden, as you've probably guessed, isn't the 2 acres that you've set your heart on.
Okay.
No.
There is enough room for the chickens, but you might need to make a few adjustments.
Yeah.
But there's a public footpath just behind our property, and it leads right up onto those fields.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
Okay.
Behind us, you have a stable block. That could be ripe for conversion. You could make that into the annex. Equally, you could actually take it back, and then you'd actually get quite a large garden here. So how much do you think this converted barn is on the market for?
I'm thinking around 525.
I think higher. There's a lot of building, there's a lot of rooms, and I would say maybe 545.
It is under your budget by £55,000. The asking price is £495.
Oh, wow. That's great. That gives us money to play around with to make the outside exactly what we would want.
Fancy going and having another look around?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I
please.
think you should start off with the annex.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in a minute. Thank you. So a great start with our first property, this converted barn. It does have the annex. It needs a little bit of a tweak for Daddy, but you also have all of this behind me, this wonderful stable block, which you could utilise, you could keep. Me, my money, I'd take it back and make this a fantastic garden.
£55,000 under budget, this rustically modern detached barn conversion has 5 bedrooms and a layout that gives potential for creating a self-contained annex. Although the land is less than Claire and Simon hoped for, there is a very versatile stable block and the property is surrounded by rolling fields and miles of footpaths.
I really, really like this house. I think it's got a lot of what we're looking for in a property. I think what it's missing for Dad is the kitchen area. So we would have to think about either rejigging the internal space or build a little bit more on.
We could turn this into a sitting room and a kitchen for Dad, couldn't we? It stood warm.
Yeah, because the bedroom's quite big, isn't it?
We always said when we were looking for the next house that it had to have a lot of land, and this house doesn't have a lot of land. But I think with the access to fields and the room to make changes, the land is less of an issue with this house than it could be with other houses.
So there we have it. A strong start.
Yes. Very strong.
Good, and more to show you. Come on.
Orchards have been part of the Gloucestershire landscape since Roman times, and by the 18th century, the county was one of the top 3 fruit liquor producers in the country. We're sending Claire and Simon to meet some potential new neighbours who are keeping alive the great Gloucestershire tradition of perry brewing. Perry is an alcoholic beverage prepared exclusively from perry pears. Nick Bull has been making it as a hobby since the 1950s and now runs a family business producing this centuries-old drink.
Good to meet you both.
Nice to meet you too.
So what makes Gloucestershire particularly good for perry?
Really, it's climatic. The Gulf Stream coming up the River Severn gives a ameliorating climate, and therefore we don't get such harsh winters as you do further inland.
At one time, there were over 100 local varieties of perry pears in the county, but changing tastes have seen this number go into steep decline. Now it's up to growers like Nick to preserve this historic local fruit.
There's a lot of different varieties peculiar to this area.
So is this variety of pear specific to Gloucestershire?
This variety is specific to this parish. It's blatantly red, it's a very reliable cropper. You wouldn't eat it.
No.
But why don't you have a go at one?
Thank you. Oh, it is quite tart, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But the tartness gives the character to the drink. If you're thinking of planting some, you'll need about 15 years of lead time.
Okay.
Because the old saying is you plant pears for your heirs.
The pears are ripe for picking around September, when they are shaken from the tree and gathered by hand. Then it's over to the cider house, where Nick's son Tom is on hand to explain the perry making process.
What we're going to do is we're going to mill them, which basically means smash them up into a pulp, and then we'll take them from the mill and we'll push them under the press and squeeze all the juice out of them.
During the pressing process, the pears are layered and squeezed between special nylon cloths called cheeses. Presses were once operated by hand, but now work with hydraulic equipment.
And how much liquid would you get out of one of these presses?
We'll get somewhere between 80 and 100 litres per pressing. Once we've pressed it, it goes into these tanks and vats that you can see around us. We might add a little bit of sulphur dioxide just to help stop spoiling organisms. And then once it's finished fermenting, we transfer it into a clean tank or vat and let it mature until the spring when it's ready to drink.
That sounds great.
We've got some that's ready now that we made last year, so we can go and try some if you like.
That'd be great.
Fantastic.
A selection of single variety and blended perries are made here. Claire and Simon are tasting a carbonated blend made mainly from last year's Blakeney red crop.
So do you only serve the perry in bottles?
No, we do it still, straight out of the barrel as well. The stuff that we've pressed today, that'll be ready about Easter time. Perry's best with delicate foods because it's quite a delicate taste. So things like chicken, fish, perhaps a single Gloucester cheese. These pears here, they're actually perry pears and they've been poached in perry, so they'd be fantastic as a dessert.
The alcoholic strength of the perry varies somewhere between 5 and 8%, depending on sugar levels in the fruit. Unlike cider apples, perry pears often contain sorbitol, a sugar that does not ferment, leaving a residual sweetness to the drink.
Should we start by having a little drink?
That'd be very nice.
Okay. Cheers.
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 Wow, that is lovely. That is really fruity and very, very clean. I really like that.
Yeah, really, really nice.
Cheers. Yeah, it's really refreshing, isn't it? So you think you might be moving out to this area?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, if it comes off, you must come and see us. Keep in touch.
definitely will. Thank you
Really
very
will.
much.
Around 6 miles south from our first property, our next house lies in the village of Newnham on Severn, 12 miles southwest from Gloucester and around half an hour's drive from Cheltenham. But as well as a plethora of picturesque riverside vistas, it offers a number of facilities, including places to eat and drink, local shops and medical services such as a doctor's surgery and pharmacy. The property I'm showing them is a few minutes' walk from these along a quiet lane.
So this time, we're really close to the River Severn. It's just down the hill.
Yep.
To show you our second property.
Wow, that's very pretty.
It's got a lot of character. Looks nice. It's semi-detached.
Well, I'll explain as we go
Okay.
along.
Okay.
Let's see what you make of the inside. Come on.
This 18th century former warehouse was built when Newnham was a thriving market town, transporting goods via the river. It was converted to a 4-bedroom home around 60 years ago.
So you've got a small hallway there, straight into this, your sitting room.
This is nice.
This is a nice sitting room.
Yeah. Love the beams.
We have a thing going with beams, don't we?
Absolutely.
The height is nice with the beams because sometimes you have to compromise. Intrigued.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I want to see more.
Is it calling you in?
It is. It's dragging us in, isn't it?
That's a good sign. So you've got your kitchen with a dining area here as well.
Okay. It's a nice kitchen.
Yeah, a little smaller than I would envisage for entertaining.
But you have a major dining area up through there. And I'm thinking you could open it up.
I think we probably would open it up. Does it have any outside access?
No, that doesn't.
Okay.
You're looking for your boot room, aren't you? As this house is set up at the moment for the current owner, there isn't a boot room.
Okay.
The downstairs also features a wine cellar and storage room, whilst 2 further floors upstairs provide 4 good-sized bedrooms, all with exposed timbers, 2 of which have ensuite bathrooms. There's also a half-tiled family bathroom and a spacious study.
This is your house, but we've got to see what's next door, possibly for your dad.
Attached and included with the main house is a second smaller cottage that could provide completely independent living for Claire's father right on their doorstep.
So we have found you a self-contained 2-bedroom cottage for your father right next door.
Oh, my goodness.
This is great.
Now, he has his own parking space. You can fit 2 cars in, but in actual fact, he wouldn't need to drive anywhere because everything that he needs day to day, including a doctor's surgery, is at the end of this road.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
The downstairs here also features a sitting area, bathroom and lower ground floor den, whilst upstairs has 2 bedrooms.
Plenty of storage, self-contained. This has actually been rented out for many, many years.
He'd love it.
He'd be really happy.
Definitely something of interest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's go back outside, look at the garden, the options, talk about the surrounding area.
Outside there's a mature garden and double garage for the main home.
So just over this fence is Albert's cottage. Yeah. So you are attached, but 2 separate properties. And this is your garden. I think I might be pushing it a little bit with your chickens. The one thing I can mention is there's a public footpath just across the road. Well, let's discuss the financial side. Do you think this house is under, on, or over your budget with its asking price?
You can go first.
Well, given the proximity to Newnham, the 2 buildings, I think this is over budget, and I would say 575.
I think it's bang on at 550.
Oh, very good, because I can give you £1 change.
Right.
£549,999.
Okay. I think you get a lot of house for that amount of money.
Take another look around, discuss it between you as well, because I know there's a few things that you might have question marks on, but it does represent fantastic value for money, getting 2 properties in one.
Bang on budget, this home has the 4 bedrooms they've asked for, plus an attached 2-bedroom cottage, providing ready-made separate living spaces they could move straight into. Once again, the lack of land is a compromise here, but the location does boast all the amenities of the village within walking distance, and plenty of countryside for them and the dogs to explore.
This is a nice study, isn't it?
Yep. Another big bedroom.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And with ensuite. This house is a lovely house. Whether it's a lovely house for us, I'm not sure, because of the multi-generational living, because of the dogs, and because of the lifestyle that we want for ourselves.
For Dad, he could move in tomorrow and live there. I think in the way that the house is laid out at the moment for us, we would need to alter the inside to make it more open plan. We would need to consider the implications of what we would have to do to it.
I think we might have slightly confused you two, won't we?
Just a little bit, two very different properties.
Yeah. And guess what? We've got a third one to throw into the mix tomorrow, because it will be our mystery house. Let's go.
It's day 2 of our search for a home for Claire and Simon, who plan to move from the busy town of Kidderminster to the peaceful surrounds of rural Gloucestershire. With £550,000 to spend, they're looking for somewhere that will give them space to enjoy life with their animals and for Claire's dad Albert to join them. I still have the mystery house to surprise them with.
This is something that you won't often see. The bookcase is removable. There's a secret flight of stairs and there's its own room at the top.
No.
Yeah.
And I'll be exploring the extraordinary collection of an English eccentric who lived right here in Gloucestershire.
This is a doorbell.
It is, yes. If you'd like to have a go, then you just need to turn this handle gently at first.
OK. There we go. Oh! It's a new day here in Gloucestershire, and yesterday we learned something quite interesting about Claire and Simon's property search. They started off with a strong list of requirements, but we discovered if we find them a great home with a really good annex for their father Albert in a prime location, well, they're more than happy to forfeit most of that land. So today we're going to introduce them to our mystery house. Now this time they will need a little bit more imagination when they look at it, especially when we're talking about Albert's part of the property. And how will all three of them feel about having a river as a neighbour? We're about to find out. How are you feeling about today?
Oh, really looking forward to it. I think anybody that knows us knows that we wouldn't necessarily just buy something that was run-of-the-mill.
What I am hoping to see is some wide open spaces.
So you'd like that, would you? Being a little bit more remote?
Yeah, just some room for the dogs, maybe the chickens.
Okay. Getting back to that livestock dream.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Now you can probably feel the road's a little bit bumpier here.
Yeah.
I'm getting excited.
I know, yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. So this isn't putting you off because we are on our way to our mystery house.
Absolutely not.
No, I like the look of this already.
Definitely.
We're heading into the depths of rural life with our mystery house, set in seclusion, but within walking distance of the village of Maysmore and 3 miles northwest of Gloucester. The White Hart in Maysmore could become Claire and Simon's local. There's also a village hall and church here, whilst nearby Hartbury has a post office and stores and is just an 8-minute drive from our property.
Wow.
So here we have our mystery house, a little bit different. And just to our right is the River Severn.
Wow.
Fantastic. I think flooding.
This house did flood in 2007, but they've taken preventative measures. You can see there's like a ring around the property, and it didn't flood in 2014.
Okay.
But something you have to weigh up, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
The reason we picked it as the mystery house is a project, because behind us is a double garage, and that possibly could be the annex for your dad.
Okay. Okay.
This is the dream, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Let's go in.
This detached 5-bed former quarrymaster's cottage dates back to 1810, but has been modified and extended several times over the years.
So, come on in. Starting off with the kitchen.
Oh,
It's nice.
This is nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. That's quite spacious and it's open.
Really lovely.
Really impressed.
And then, if you can just look at the end, what do you spy down there? What room?
Utility room?
A utility stroke boot stroke dog room.
Brilliant.
There's another door leading out, perfect for the animals. You don't need to bring them in this door.
That's excellent. And when I'm fishing the dogs out of the river, I need somewhere to dry them off.
To make it worse, you've even got your own little jetty so they can launch themselves.
Yeah.
But you're keen to see a bit more then, aren't you?
There's also a large conservatory added by the current owners that is currently used as a dining room and runs off a spacious sitting room.
Oh, my word.
That's what you call a fireplace.
Isn't it? It's amazing. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's so unusual. And the way it's been raised, but you've got a seating area around
Yeah.
it, so it's creating a snug over there, but the rest of the room actually benefits from the heat.
This is a room and a half, isn't it?
This is something that you won't often see. The bookcase is removable. There's a secret flight of stairs, and there's its own room at the top.
No.
Yeah.
It's
that's
amazing.
great.
Let's see what you make of upstairs.
I'll let them investigate the secret stairs behind the bookcase later, but first I'm taking them up the main route to the upper floors.
So up here we have the master bedroom.
Very good size.
It's a lovely room.
Yeah, really like it.
Very light and airy. Fantastic views.
Yeah.
There's a further ensuite bedroom with study area on this floor and a second floor with 3 further bedrooms, including 1 more ensuite and an office. There is currently no family bathroom.
Really like it.
Simon?
I'm liking this more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go outside. Let's talk about the land, talk about the position, but most importantly, about Albert's accommodation as well.
This property also has the most generous plot of land of our 3 houses, as it's surrounded on all sides by garden with a footprint of a little over half an acre.
We're giving you your own river. You actually have rights. I think the boundary is halfway across the river. So in all honesty, is there enough land, you think, here to make it work for the 2 of you, plus your dogs, the chickens, and everything else that you want to do?
I think so. I think there is.
With a bit of fencing and security for the dogs, it'd be perfect.
Yeah. So if you look behind us, you've got a double garage. That could be ripe for conversion. It's large, it's dry. You've got an additional room to the side, which they use as a games room, and you could actually connect the 2 up. Bit of a job. How would you feel about that?
That's not a problem. The house is big enough to house Dad in the meantime for 3 months, 6 months, so yeah.
Yeah, to get the work done.
Definitely. I'd look forward to that challenge.
And he would love to live out here, would he?
Oh, absolutely. This would be his dream.
It's looking very good, our mystery house. So for the final time, we've got to put a price on our property. What do you think?
I think it's going to be around about 565.
Well, I'm hoping, ever the eternal optimist, that it is under budget, but like Claire, I think it's over, and I'd say 575,000.
Claire is closest. Under your budget,
Okay.
£545,000.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
that's exciting.
Would you like to have another look around?
Yes, please.
Be my guest. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
This detached period property leaves Claire and Simon £5,000 change, and in its current configuration gives them 1 more bedroom than they asked for. The generous kitchen is perfect for entertaining, and surrounded by a plot of around half an acre, there's room for hens and dogs. Plus, they could make additional conversions to the garage to create an annex for Dad Albert.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is great. Oh, look at this.
I like that.
Nice.
I'd like to keep it as a games room.
I think this house definitely is a contender. There's the opportunity for my dad in a conversion of a garage, but it would end up being quite a good size for him.
Really, really lovely house. It's got the boot room for the dogs. It's got a bright, airy, open kitchen. There's the opportunity for the development for an annex, and it ticks most of the boxes.
This is such a beautiful spot, it truly is. Right, how have you done? Have you managed to see everything that you needed to see?
I think so.
Yeah, we think so.
It's a lot to take in, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
it.
So you've seen all three of our properties. Let's go somewhere, have a cup of tea and a proper catch-up about what your next step's going to be.
Fantastic.
Claire and Simon may be on the hunt for one of Gloucestershire's many beautiful homes to live in, but I'm taking time out to visit a spectacular example bought to house the extraordinary collection of a true English eccentric, Charles Wade. Charles left Snow Hills Manor and its contents to the National Trust in 1951, just 5 years before his death. House guide Sue Dennison has agreed to show me a few of the many artefacts on display.
Sue, this is such an impressive collection and I'm only in the first room. So how did it all start for Charles Wade?
Well, actually, it all began with this cabinet here. And this is a Cantonese cabinet that belonged to his grandmother. I think Charles just really loved it, and I think that really sparked something off in him.
Yes, ignited his
Yes.
imagination. And then what we see inside was quite a variety of things in here.
Most of these things are just family knickknacks. A little donkey paperweight that belonged to his grandmother. There's a little angel, but that would have been on a Christmas tree. So they're just the sorts of family things that I think most people actually collect.
Charles was just 7 when his passion was started by his granny's cabinet. By the age of 30, he was to inherit a vast sugar plantation fortune from his father, enabling him to buy the much grander surroundings of Snows Hill Manor, where he filled the 22 rooms with around 22,000 eclectic acquisitions, including bicycles, musical instruments, toys, and an entire 26-strong army of samurai warriors.
They are so impressive. It's a work of art. But why did he start collecting them?
Well, that's a good question, but I think the answer to that we probably find here in this diary or notebook that Charles Wade kept. And in this entry, he describes how he wanted a washer for a tap, and he decided to go into Cheltenham and called into this very small shop. And he explains there, standing by the counter, was a set of samurai armour, which is amazing when you think about it.
In Cheltenham?
Yes, and he hadn't even gone looking for armour. And he explains how the owner of the shop said that he actually had 6 more sets out in the yard, and Charles Wade purchased them.
And that was it, that was the challenge, he had to have them.
Yes.
Charles's motto was "Let nothing perish," and he'd spend hours in his workshop, lovingly restoring the items he had bought.
It's all about the craftsmanship and the design, and that was what he was interested in. If you think about the time that he was collecting, we're talking about the 1930s, things weren't being made by hand anymore. They were being manufactured, and Charles was really part of a movement who believed in the craftsman.
In keeping with his love of skilled craftsmanship, Charles's favourite piece was a Japanese figure, carved out of a single piece of wood and, like many of his purchases, of unknown date and origin. But Charles also turned his hand to making his own pieces, including an ingenious music box designed to sit above his front door and play every time a visitor arrived.
This is a doorbell.
It is, yes. And I think it's pretty typical of Charles Wade that it's a very individual doorbell. It's incredibly intricate and detailed, and yet it's very theatrical, but also very practical.
And is it in working order now, Sue?
It is. If you'd like to have a go, then you just need to turn this handle gently at first.
OK.
There we go.
Oh! How wonderful. And what do you think the significance is of this house?
I think it's quite a rare house in this country in that it's a whole collection of one man left as he left it for the nation to enjoy.
And we certainly do, and his legacy continues to this day and forward.
It certainly does.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki.
Well, we've shown Simon and Claire what's achievable on their budget here in Gloucestershire, and I think we've done a pretty fine job. But have we got an out-and-out winner with one of our properties? Let's find out. Well, Claire and Simon, finding a home for yourselves is always quite difficult and stressful. But finding a home for 3 people, including your father, well, it does put it in a different sort of remit, doesn't it? I wonder how we've done.
I think you've done very well.
Have we?
Yeah, we've seen 3 lovely homes, and homes that maybe that we wouldn't have looked at ourselves.
There's a couple of properties that are definitely considerations, and potentially you may well have found one of the properties.
Well, put me out of my misery. Which of out of the 3?
For us, property number 1 and the mystery house.
So you like the idea of living right by the River Severn, do you?
Absolutely.
So how committed are you both to those 2 properties?
Well, we have actually booked a second viewing to the barn this
Have
afternoon.
you?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
there's
we
no
have.
messing with you 2 at all. The mystery house is going to get a second viewing too.
We will be going back to see the mystery house as well, and the final sign-off has to be Albert, of course.
So I wonder which property might shine through.
I love the mystery house. I think my reservations lie in how much it's going to cost to convert the garage into what Dad would like. If we get answers and we can get planning permission, then absolutely the mystery house is lovely.
Wow. Could be very exciting times ahead.
Yeah.
So we've got to talk about Albert. What do you think he's going to say?
He'll love the mystery house.
Will he?
Yes, for the outside space where it's located.
If all your questions get answered on that mystery house, do you think you'll still continue looking?
No, I don't think I'd keep looking. I don't think I need to look anymore.
I think we need to see the barn again, just to know. I think we
Yeah.
do need to see the barn again. But absolutely, the mystery house is a very, very serious contender.
I'm going to keep everything crossed. I'm going to keep everything crossed. Let's hope Albert loves it as much as you do, because that's the number 1 thing to get over, isn't it? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed showing you Gloucestershire. I hope all 3 of you make the move very soon, because I'm sure you're going to be very happy together. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
Well, the fact that Claire and Simon are on their way right now to take another look at our first property, the converted barn, but are also desperate to introduce Albert to the mystery house, well, for me, that makes it a pretty successful week. It just remains to be seen which home the 3 of them decide to go for. I'll see you again on Escape to the Country.
After revisiting, Claire and Simon decided the barn conversion didn't have the outside space they wanted. Claire also had second thoughts about the proximity to water at the mystery house. Their search for a home in Gloucestershire continues. If you would like to escape to the country in England, Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland and would like our help, please apply online at bbc.co.uk/be on a show.